So if you're a man and things feel off at home, like you feel like you're walking on eggshells all of the time, or it feels like there's tension in the air all the time, you're not talking, you're not as good as you used to be, things just seem a little bit off, and nothing that you do seems to make her happy. Well, it doesn't make her happy for long, and you just feel exhausted from the whole thing. She probably thinks that, this, it would be helpful. Let's go for couples counseling. But you don't want to go because it's not really a good feeling for a man to have to talk to some shrink about their private life. It's just the way we are. So if this sounds like you, stay with me for a few minutes, because by the end of this video, it's only a short video. I'm going to try and get to the point as quick as possible to show you that there might be something that you can do that will steer you in the right direction. You might have a better understanding of why that the things that you've done so far may not have worked as well as you thought they would. And you may also walk away with a different way of actually looking at your current situation. It could possibly help you to turn the whole thing around even, and without dredging up the past or talking about your mother. So that's what they do in therapy sometimes, right? And that's the way men see therapy and counseling. It's like, I'm going to talk about my problems, my private stuff, and it's going on to talk about my mother. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. When I say the next bit, if you're a man, it will probably influence you to stay a little bit longer and maybe even watch the whole video. So this is not about digging up the past. It's not about talking about your feelings or digging up your feelings. It's not about going back over your childhood. You can resolve it without doing any of this stuff. It's not about me telling you everything you're doing is wrong, because that's just going to make you feel worse, right? Because you already know something's wrong. If you're in a relationship and it just doesn't feel the same, and you feel like you aren't getting on as well as you used to, and it's more a relationship of, cooperation and necessity rather than just an enjoyable thing, you don't need someone pointing out your problems or pointing out your faults, because that can actually be counterproductive. And most men don't want to sit there explaining how they're feeling for an hour. You just want the pressure to stop. You might want things just to start to feel normal again, or at least just to feel peaceful at some level. And a lot of the time, it's not even about who's right or wrong. It's not about figuring out, is it her fault? Is it your fault? It's mostly the circumstances build up. The arguments pile up on top of each other, and little resentments never really go away or get cleared up. They always kind of sit there in the background. Even when things, are going well, there's always someone that's sitting there with some sort of, can we talk about what happened 2 years ago or 2 months ago, right? You start getting even a bad taste in your mouth, even thinking about starting a conversation with that other person. So the mere thought of actually getting into a conversation just makes your chest tighten up, your stomach feels sick, and you don't follow through with it, because you just know how it's going to end. You've already got examples in the past of how the conversation is going to go. And after a while, it feels like, how the hell are we even going to come back from this? Like, this has gone so bad. And you start to question yourself whether you actually really love the person or not. And it's not that you don't, and it's not that you don't care. It's that you don't know what to do that will actually work. There's not really a lot of useful tools out there to get you to be able to change how you feel about the situation. There's lots of information out there, but this is not about information, because more information on top of what you're already thinking sometimes it's not helpful. And it's not that information that's going to help. If it was, there's plenty of information out there. So you've probably tried to talk about it. You've probably tried to stay quiet and keep your mouth shut and just not say anything. Tried being nice as best you can. You tried giving the other person space. You tried fixing it logically, and nothing seems to move the needle. So you start coping instead of living. You're just kind of just getting on with it, going through the motions and trying to get through the week without having an argument. And you get through the day, you get through the week. You avoid certain topics because you know they're going to bring up some uncomfortable feelings, and you're just trying to keep the peace. But inside, you're under pressure, and you can feel that pressure building up, because everything feels more complicated than it actually should. And it probably never started off like that. There was times where you could just communicate and you could just talk about stuff without getting into an argument or without feeling uncomfortable. And when you're under pressure, everything feels heavier. So if you're under pressure in work, financially, everything just feels heavier in your relationship. You go home already stressed from work. And now the relationship starts to feel like another source of stress, and you're not even looking forward to coming home. No desire, no comfort in your relationship, just stress. And when you're in that state, your brain starts linking the other person to that feeling. That's what I want to kind of help you to understand, that usually it's not each person that's the problem. It's the circumstances can lead up to all of these feelings building up. And then your mind associates that person with the feelings that you're feeling, because you're seeing them all the time when you're feeling like this. And it can turn into a little monster. You look at them and your body's already, starts to tighten before anything's even said. Not because they're a bad person, and not because you're a bad person, just because your nervous system learned that this situation and this person that you're looking at, it equals tension, and it remembers that. And then they become the reminder for this tension. Now, here's where most advice that you get can go wrong. People start telling you what you need to fix. There's lots of advice out there that will tell you, here's what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to kind of go home. You need to be nice. You need to focus on all the good things. Go for walks. Telling you what you should say, what you shouldn't say, what you should say differently. That's stressful. I'm telling you, that's just overwhelming. You're planning what you're going to say in a relationship. It doesn't really work out too well. And honestly, that can just, even just in those moments, it can take the pressure off for a moment, but there's still something underneath that feels like it's off. Because when you're already overwhelmed, being handed a list of things that you're doing wrong doesn't make you feel better. It makes you feel worse. And when you feel worse, you react worse. Shorter fuse, you feel like you've got less patience. You get more defensive and hostile. Everything feels like it's an attack on your identity and your values, and you're only trying to do the best thing to provide for the family. You're trying to work, you're trying to get work, whatever it may be. It makes you feel worse all of the time. The more advice that you get, you become more withdrawn. Here's the thing. When people feel better, they naturally behave better. And you don't have to force your niceness, your kindness. So this is about me getting you to understand that you have to try and learn how to change how you feel. Because when you feel better, you respond better to every situation. You don't have to force it. It just comes naturally. It just happens. On a day that you're feeling in a good mood, you're more patient, you're more relaxed, you're more generous, you'd be nicer to people, and things that would normally bother you just roll off your back. You don't really care, You're the same person, but you're in a different state. And this is something that I work through with men privately all the time. The goal is always the same for me, is to get your head to a quieter place and get you into a better mood. So it's to quieten down the mind so that there's no stories in your head about what things mean. You're just present without judgment, and you're reactive in the moment. You're just reacting to what's only in front of you without judgment. You're not putting your judgment on the other person all of the time. You can still know that the other person's probably not the best person to be around because they've got issues or whatever they have. But you just know in that moment, you don't have to feel bad because the other person is in a bad mood. And that's what creates leverage on changing a relationship, is to have one person be that way. And that person then can put fires out instead of throwing logs on the fire. So my goal is always the same. Get out of your head, get your head quieter, and get your body into a better mood. And then you decide what to do, because you can see things more clearly. Then you can see the simple things that are important. So my approach isn't like, let's analyze everything that went wrong and let's talk about it and how to figure out what you're going to say next. It's not usually helpful when you do that. I can kind of help you cope. But for me, I can see holes in that game. A lot of holes in that game, to be honest. When you're playing that game, it feels like a game of outwitting all of the time, rather than a natural process of just showing up and allowing the other person to not be perfect and giving them permission to not be perfect, and they do the same for you. And then you can actually see the problem as separate rather than fighting with each other. You feel like you're fighting with the problem. So if it doesn't feel like a personal attack on you, and for her, it doesn't feel like a personal attack on her. So the two of you can show up and see the problem as separate, and the two of you can fight with the problem and not fight with each other. That's just what it feels like when you get your head right and you get the feelings changed in your body. And a lot of time, men know that counselling won't do that for them. They just leave more tense, more guilty, and it feels like a blame game. And then it feels like a more of a forcing rather than an allowing. So how do we get your feelings better first? Not fake positive hairy fairy shit. Not pretending that everything's fine, because that pressure will build up and something will give. How do you become just calmer and clearer and less frustrated? Because when you feel better inside, you show up differently without trying. You're not trying to do anything. You're not planning on saying anything. You're just there, and things wash off you like water off a duck's back. Not that you're gullible or you're pretending nothing's happening. It's not like you're on Xanax or anything. It's just you're not sweating the small stuff, and you're not seeing the person as a threat. You're seeing the situation, and you're thinking, as a man, how can I tend and influence this situation and put these fires out? When you're feeling like that, your tone changes. So you're not pretending that you're okay. You know, when you walk in and you say to your wife, "Is everything all right?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's fucking fine." Like, you know she's not fine, right? It's like, you said you're fine. Are you sure? I said I'm fine. And it's like, well, you'd want to tell your face, because what you're saying is not congruent with your body language. You know, your body language changes and your reactions change when you're in a bad mood. Even though you're saying you're okay and you're being as fucking polite as possible, it comes across in your fucking tone. I'm okay. I'm okay, I told you. Stop asking. There's something underneath there that needs to be tended to. Or otherwise, you could say you're fine all you want. It's still going to keep the conflict going. And when you change how you feel, your reactions change, your tone changes. And that alone can shift the whole dynamic at home. It can change the whole environment in the house. And by the way, this is exactly what I help men do privately, quietly, practically, without turning it into a big dramatic process, and without digging up the past, and without, blinding you with science and baffling you with bullshit, because that stuff sometimes makes you more stressed. Another thing worth saying right now is that your partner probably isn't the person that you're reacting to. You don't know what I don't know what your specific situation is. You don't really know what's going on in her head. In most cases, maybe you do know what's going on. I don't know exactly what's going on. Just kind of giving you a general overview of the whole thing. When a man is feeling frustrated at home and he feels like doesn't have the same relationship with his partner or his wife, in most cases, I don't know what's going on in your life unless I talk to you specifically, and then we can become more targeted. But I know in most cases, you're reacting to the history over a period of time. When you start getting into conflict with your partner, all the arguments that you've had over the past, all the disappointments that you've had, every bit of trauma that you went through, all the unresolved stuff, your brain starts to build all that up, and it starts to overlay it onto them automatically. So you only have to see them, and all that stuff comes up. It remembers that every time I was going through some shit, she was there. And the mind is thinking, it's something to do with her. Because, like, 9/11, she was there. Like, the pandemic, she was there. She's jinxed. It's like, this is what the mind is trying to do. It's trying to make sense of what's the common denominator in this situation that's causing me to feel this way. And the most person that you're going to see is your partner. So the mind starts to try and make associations to see what the triggers are. And it just overlaps that and colors everything. And it's called reconsolidation. That's just what your mind does. And it's important that you understand that. So you're not actually fighting with the person. You're fighting with all the old experiences sometimes. And again, I don't know your current situation. Maybe you've got some more information that I don't have that you could say, yeah, but Paul, can you give me more information? We can talk about that. They're doing the same to you. They're remembering their mind is remembering all of the trauma that you went through, the stressful situations, the arguments, the relationships with your family, with the jobs that you had, with the late nights, with whatever you're going through. Their mind is looking at you and going, okay, all of that trauma has something to do with you, because you were always there when it happened, and it stacks the deck. So this is what the mind's doing in the background. And then all of a sudden, you're not fighting with the person, you're fighting with the past. And sometimes it's even past relationships. Like, your mind can superimpose one of your exes onto your current partner. And she could just say something in the same way that the other person said it, and your mind will go, uh-oh, here's this crazy bitch again. And it will start to apply that feeling that you had in your past relationships to the current one, just by the tone of the voice, might not even be intentional. This situation might not have escalated, but your mind's going, okay, here we go again. And now you're fighting with your ex and not the person in front of you. And they can do the same to you. Both people are mostly reacting to the past and their memories instead of what's actually important right now. It's very difficult for logic to break that loop. So if someone gives you advice and says, you shouldn't do that, here's what's happening, it's usually not as helpful as it could be. So logic won't break that loop. What does break it is knowing how to change how you feel on purpose. So learning how to change how you feel and to get used to the idea of not putting meaning on anything, to actually uncomplicate your thinking rather than, you know, how much more stuff do I need to learn? It's like, how much can I let go of all of the conversations that I'm having in my head where I don't finish the conversations in my head? So there's no ending. And if there's no ending on the conversations in my head, there's no meaning. And if there's no meaning, there's no feeling. So you're not finishing the stories off in your head with a bad ending or putting too much meaning on what's happening. It's about being able to learn how to quieten the mind down, not get more information, and how to change how you feel. Because when the mind is quiet, the body goes along for the ride, because the body is always eavesdropping on your mind, and vice versa. If your body is tense, your mind's eavesdropping on your body, and you get this recursive loop where you're always kind of thinking about how you're feeling all the time, and that in turn influences your thinking, because if you're feeling shit, your mind is going, why am I feeling like this? And it starts to look for evidence, and you just get caught in this slippery slope. So if one person becomes calmer, and that's why this is on you, and no pressure, you're watching this video and there's something that you can do about it. If you're a man, it's time to step up and start to go, okay, I'm going to change me. I'm going to get myself into a better state of mind so that I can show up and influence the relationship. Someone has to go first. Even if the other person is the main problem in the relationship, I don't know. I'm not going to presuppose that they are or they aren't. I'm just saying, if one person becomes calmer and clearer and less reactive, it changes what's possible. And it's not overnight. It's not magic. It can be, but it just gives you more space. If you can change how you feel in the moment where an argument is going to kick off, or even worse, ignoring someone, not talking to them. Sometimes it's not what you say that can do the most damage. It's what you don't say that can do the most damage. So if you're just going to give the cold shoulder or the quiet treatment, or she's going to do it to you, someone has to break that ice. You know what I mean? Someone has to show up and create that space. And it's not complicated. It's just learning how to communicate better and learning how to influence somebody and change how they feel, and thinking, how can I be truly helpful in this situation? Even though the other person is in a bad place, how can I be helpful? Instead of being part of the problem, you're part of the solution without effort, without too much effort, without talking about your problems, without going to therapy, without counseling, without digging up the past. So it creates that space, and it creates a space where there wasn't any space before. So just think about that. It just creates a little bit of space if you're able to quieten yourself down. And remember, it's not complicating things more by giving you more stuff. The tools that I give you are just tools to quieten your mind down. And they all do the same things. They do the same thing. They're all different ways of just getting you to shut the fuck up in your head and stop putting meaning on things, to quieten down and be fully present and available in the moment. That's your maximum point of power. And if you tried working on yourself before and you felt like you just keep getting knocked back down, it doesn't mean that you're broken. Usually it just means that you were trying to change the situation without changing your internal state first. It's like effort without alignment, and it just exhausts you. So your body and your mind need to be aligned. And if the body is in opposition with the mind, you can never really move forward. You know, you have to kind of there's no point in thinking positive if you're still feeling stressed. And there's no point in being calm if you're thinking negatively. You have to get the body and mind in coherence with each other. And it's about quietening the top part down so the body can have a little bit of space and a bit of peace. Because if you're overthinking, the body's going to get tense. And it's just kind of this feedback loop. You know how it goes, right? You've probably experienced it in most of your life. I'm here to show you how to start to change that. To even open up a possibility that you don't have to go to counseling. You don't have to go to therapy. There is another way. If you're sitting there thinking, I didn't even know what to do right now. I don't even know what to do or say anymore. Like, what am I going to get out of this video? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Give me something to do. That's a normal place to be. You don't need the answers right now. You're probably saying, I fucking do need the answers right now. My relationship is shit. You just need to know that there's a way to stop feeling crushed by it. We have to open up the doors of possibility first before your mind starts to take on anything that's going to change your direction. Because if it doesn't feel possible, it doesn't matter what you do. If your mind's in the background going, how am I ever going to fix this? This has gone too far. If you're doing that, it's going to get in the way, you know? So just this discussion is just getting things clearer. It's getting you into a clearer state of possibility. And when you get into this clearer state and you realize, okay, I just have to quieten down, you're going to have to follow me to kind of get some of these simple ways to do it. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not, as a friend of mine says, an American friend of mine says, I'm not selling you. I'm just telling you. Communication gets easier and you start acting from clear space when you start to learn this way of quieting down your mind. You can say things that you probably wouldn't say if you're stressed. You know that feeling when you say something in a temper and then afterwards you calm down and you have access to consequences and regret and you think, I fucking shouldn't have said that. That's because you calmed down afterwards and you had access to consequences. When you're stressed, you don't have access to consequences. It's about quietening your body down and your mind and acting from that clear place of choice where you have access to those choices instead of fight or flight or survival mode, you know? So if you want a simple private starting point, there's a free mindset training video course I'll put in the link in the description below. It'll start to help you to change how you think. It's a great way to get the ball rolling and at the beginning to start to change how you feel about your current situation. You have to start somewhere. Okay, you have to start somewhere. Don't let it go any longer. Do something. Start somewhere. Just follow some of my stuff. I'm doing my best to simplify this for you. A lot of men are stuck in this situation, and I know what it's like to have been in that situation. I don't get into conflict anymore with anybody. I'm not throwing logs on the fire. I put fires out. And it's not because of all the complicated things I'm doing. It's because I do less. I'm observant. I'm aware. I'm reactive in the moment, and I'm helpful. I'm truly helpful because I see things clearer and I see things that other people can't see that are in stress. Because stress is a filter. You can't see opportunities and possibilities and other choices when you're in stress. You only see fight or flight responses. It's like, how the fuck can I get out of here? Or who do I need to fight? I see things clearly because I know how to quiet my mind down and observe without judgment. And I'm safer and I'm more protected when I do that. So if you go there and you get that challenge that I have in the bottom, it's not a challenge. It is a challenge. It's a challenge for you to just step up now and take the next step. And if you sign up for the free course, it's like a 5-day course that goes through nice and slowly to keep you on track. So it sinks into your mind easier over a few days rather than overloading you with stuff. I'm even there to support you all along the way. And if you want to work through your personal situation with me personally, you can get in touch with me directly through my website, paulcampbell.ie. www.paulcampbell.ie. We'll keep it simple. You can just go on there and apply for a 30-minute free icebreaker call. No pressure. I'm not going to put you under any pressure. Just going to get like a snapshot of your situation if you want. And after the discovery call, you're going to feel clearer and better on where you are. No cost on that. If you decide you want to work with me and that I'm the man that can help you, that's where we start. We take it from there. I'll tell you what my fee is and I'll be your personal coach to get you through this, help you to change how you think and feel. If anything I said here connects with you, leave a comment below if you have a question or send me a private message if you'd rather keep it between just me and you, between us. If you're dealing with a specific situation at home, there's a good chance I've already recorded something that will actually give you better communication skills to be able to help everybody feel better. It's not just about me and you. It's about how can we help other people to feel better. So send me a message, leave a comment and say, hey, look, I've got this situation, blah, blah, blah. And I'll give you a link to one of my videos. I'm pretty sure I probably would have covered it in one of my videos. And I can just send you directly to that. Just tell me what's going on and I'll point you to a video that will actually help you. If you want access to the free mindset training that I spoke about earlier on, then just click on the link in the description and it will definitely help you get control of your attention. so that your mind stops running off and you stop having arguments in your own head about stuff that happened and what could happen. There's also a private men's community there, and I show up in it, and you can talk to me, you can send me messages, I can answer live questions. You can join the WhatsApp channel if you want. I have that there as well. You don't have to do any of it. I just make it available for everybody so that there's something there for everybody. And if you want to work through something personally with me, the link to my website is below as well. You can request that free discovery call with me, and we'll see if it makes sense to you, if it makes sense to your situation. So I hope this helped somebody. And if it has, share it with someone else that may need it. There might be someone else that you might know that may be going through some relationship issues, and this might actually help them get a little bit of a clear direction. It's just like a little bit of space, a door open to say, this sounds possible that I could actually fix this without going to counseling or therapy and talking to some shrink, because you just never know what's going on in people's life. Some people want to go to counseling and it's helpful, but a lot of men don't. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to open up another opportunity that's probably more relatable to most men. And this video, if you send it to someone else, it might guide them in the right direction and it might change their relationship. So thanks for watching. I'm Paul Campbell, and I'll see you in the next video.